are such an asshole.
Good morning, children. All right, we got a request. And if you have a request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com. It's a different type of request. This comes from my buddy Hazmat Trucker. If you remember him, he has the avatar. You know how the semi trucks, right? They got the warning sign, flammable, not flammable, chemical, whatever. He edited one to say white girl blood with the skull and crossbones because that is the biggest addiction we have today in America is the white girl blood, where you shoot it up and you think that you are a white girl from the suburb. Like, oh my God, I'm going to major in journalism and make six figures, and my truly average ass is going to marry George Clooney. We got to stop that pandemic. Anyway, so he is the one shipping it across the country as we speak. And he writes, Cappy, a couple weeks ago, I was looking at trails in the Bighorn Mountain Range. Shortly after, I saw the following article about an experienced hiker dying after climbing Cloud Peak. Now, I know that you only specialize in power walking up Brokeback Mountain, but I figured your experience in the woods and receiving it would, as I love my audience, would make a good video on this article. Please describe where you believe he went wrong and what you would have done differently, or if it's just the fact he's from the land of good schools and the state fair cookies, don't you know? Notably, he got to the summit at 7 p.m., which seems very late. That is pretty late unless you go to camp there, which is possible. But I'm not familiar with the area. Let me know how much of video response and analysis. So I read through it, and I am intricately familiar where he went hiking because I've hiked it myself. But unlike him, I failed. I couldn't get to Cloud Peak. I've tried 2 times, and I got massive um, uh, headaches, altitude sickness, which is weird because I can get up to 12,005 before. And then other hikes, other peaks I've done where I've been above 11,000, it starts to kick in. I'm like, ooh. And I've gotten up 12,005. Never, I did a 14 once, but that doesn't count. None of the other hikes did I get a headache. I was tired. I was wiped out. I didn't get the headaches. Both times, Cloud Peak, the route he went, the West 10 Sleep Trail, Misty Moon Lake, pounding headaches. So I don't know what it is with the valley or whatever. I will also say that route is not comfortable. And you go, what do you mean comfortable? There is not enough. It's hard. It's rock. So if you're going to camp, which you're almost going to have to on that one, if you're going to camp, you're sleeping on stones. So you got to go get pine cones, but pine needles. There's not a lot of leaves. Not a good place to bed down. And you get to the peak, it's just rock. I've never been there, but you can look. There ain't no trees or material up there. And then mosquitoes. Of all the things out there, mosquitoes, a ton of them. So this guy was a better hiker than me. He made it up there. But let's go through the article from Cowboy State Daily. Body of missing Minnesota hiker found recovered from Bighorn Mountains. All right, there's a picture of him there. The body of a hiker who went missing in late July has been found and recovered from the Bighorn Mountains. The Bighorn County Sheriff's Office confirmed that the body of Grant Gardner, 38, was found on the northern route of Cloud Peak on Tuesday evening. Gardner had summited the peak on July 29th, which was also the last time anyone had been in contact with him. A group of very experienced mountaineers from North Carolina was descending the North Slope from Cloud Peak on Tuesday evening. Bighorn County Sheriff Ken Blackburn told Cowboy State Daily as they were making their camp at a high altitude over 11,000 feet. Boy, they must have brought some padding. They noticed a small glint of an object, which turned out to be a small piece of fabric from Gardner's backpack. So he was on the descent. Cloud Peak is 13 and change. They were at 11. So he made it up and he came back down. Turned out to be a small piece of fabric from Gardner's backpack. The mountaineers immediately contacted the Bighorn County Sheriff's Office. Personnel from Bighorn County Search and Rescue mobilized and reached the scene on Wednesday morning, where they found Gardner deceased. After a difficult and dangerous recovery, Gardner's body was flown out of the Bighorn Mountains. Once an investigation is completed by the Bighorn Coroner's Office, his body will be brought home to his grieving family in Minnesota. We believe Gardner succumbed to a tragic accident. I think I'm going to, accident. I agree, as we all have surmised. Gardner, an experienced hiker, set out to climb the 13,166-foot summit at Cloud Peak, the tallest mountain in the Bighorns. He intended to complete a hike around the Misty Moon Lake area in 3 days. On the evening of July 29th, Gardner texted his wife to tell her he'd reached the summit, but the climb was more taxing than he expected, and he was tired. I agree, buddy. I agree. I am not that much of an expert. Well, here, I'll explain it this way. There's the tree line. If you're bored, let's talk about mountains a little bit. There's the tree line, right? And that's where there's not enough oxygen, or not oxygen. Is it too cold? There's not enough of what trees need to grow above a certain elevation, altitude. And you would think that's universal, right? Above this line, tree cannot, above, 11,272 feet, trees cannot grow. That is not the case. The tree line depends on the mountain range and weather patterns and all that other stuff. So it could be Cloud Peak just has a form to it that it's cold, it's miserable, there's not enough oxygen up there, whatever that, because 13,100, I've done 12 plus. I could do 13,000. As I said, all those other mountains, I didn't get altitude sickness, but something about Cloud Peak, I would not doubt it that there's something unique to the way that mountain is shaped or the valleys that it beats the shit out of you. Was more taxing than he expected, and he was tired, according to a report from Blackburn. That was the last contact anyone had with Gardner. The Bighorn County Sheriff's Office mobilized a massive search and rescue operation on August 1st. What do you mean search? August 1st? That was... Okay, this is a month ago. Despite difficult weather, terrain, and challenges of searching at high altitudes, Blackburn deployed considerable resources and manpower in the search for Gardner, including multiple helicopters, airplanes, electronic tracking equipment, and personnel from Teton County SAR and the Wyoming National Guard. Gardner's vehicle was found in the West 10 Sleep Trailhead parking lot, which is where he began his hike to Cloud Peak. I've been there. I even cooked a hot dog over a fireplace there one time. His phone records showed that he reached the summit around 7 p.m. on July 29th. After 20 days, the search for Gardner was suspended on August 20th. While his heartbreaking, difficult decision, Blackburn said his team had to face reality that the most optimistic survival odds had run out. Here's a picture of him and his girlfriend. Where's that? They're high up. His wife. Area where the body was found had been searched from the air multiple times during the 20-day search effort. For Blackburn, it reveals the challenges of SAR operations at Bighorn Mountains. It's important for people to understand how large and expansive the Cloud Peak wilderness is, he said. It's easy to disappear in that area, and there are lots of nooks and crannies. Blackburn said that Gardner's body was found between two rocks on the mountainside. It was positioned in a way that obscured it from view, and Gardner's clothes closely resembled the texture and color of the terrain. So get fluorescent colors when you're going hiking, making it extremely difficult to spot. The mountaineers were fortunate to spot the glimmer from Gardner's backpack, which led Bighorn County SAR to his location. And that area could be right next to something and not necessarily see it, Blackburn said. It had to be the right people at the right time with the right light conditions in the right place. The mountaineers summited Tuesday. Mount Woolsey. Blackburn Woolsey isn't as tall as Cloud Peak. Very technical climb, practice. Blackburn, but his objective was to get back to Timberline on the south face. He said Mount Woolsey was not the objective. Thoughts and prayers. Mountaineers, seeing if there was any, if I recall, there wasn't anything cause of death. Ba. All right. So you ask unto me, please describe where you believe he went wrong and what you would have done differently. Or is it just the fact he's from the land of good old schools and the state fair and cookies? No, I don't believe he went wrong. You look at the guy, he's in shape. He's not a 21-year-old kid. He's 38. He got to the peak and I didn't. I'm going to say this guy was very experienced. He knew what he was doing. There are some things I would do differently, but no, a genuine accident. He slipped and fell. Mountain lion attack, but they would have said, yeah, and his body was mangled. So it's not that. But this is out of his control. Look, if you're you're climbing around, like there's it's not a mountain, it's just a canyon. There's this canyon called Gold Strike down in Vegas. I won't take certain people there. There's some ropes and rappelling, and you're not going down that much, but you are going down on one of them. You're going down about 30 feet, and it's all rock. You fuck up and fall and hit your head, you're dead. And that's not a terribly challenging hike in the grand scheme of things. And some people I know, if they just don't have the upper body strength to pull themselves back up, or they're klutzy or clumsy, or what's a klutzes. No, you're not going there. You're not ruining my day where we're all getting it. Because I've seen it on that hike. I've seen people, they fell, they broke their leg, and it's a slot canyon. Well, it's not slot canyon, but it's pretty narrow canyon. Helicopters can't get in there. Now you got to go get some strong men, men. Did I mention the men? Because you don't need no men to come down that thing, get a fucking gurney, leverage you back up. Yeah, that's with hundreds of people hiking that, and you're within the Vegas metro. This is not bumfuck Wyoming, but you're a ways away. The closest town is either, Ten Sleep is probably the closest town, but Ten Sleep ain't a real town. Closest town is Buffalo. And that's a good 40 minutes away from where the trailhead is. I think he had an unfortunate accident, a legit unfortunate accident. Stepped on something, it gave way, he fell down, hit his head, knocked out, dead. I don't think he had a stroke. I mean, it could have been he had a stroke or something, that high altitude, pounding headache, tired. It could be he had a medical condition he was unaware of, right? But I'm going to guess it wasn't his skill or it wasn't him. Something genuinely, statistically unlikely affected him. It isn't that he's from Minnesota. That is an unfortunate disadvantage, but even I lived in Minnesota for a while and it didn't affect my hiking ability. What I would have done differently, there's not much I would have done differently. Couple things. One, did he fill out the backcountry log? I am here now. I am leaving now. I plan to be at the peak at this time. I plan to be back by now. If I'm not back in 3 days from now, if I'm not back by 3 days from now, come get me on this route. That's what those little, if you see them, the backcountry, you fill out a log. And then the forest ranger or the sheriff or whoever comes in, they look at the log and do that. How thorough people are with those is another issue. But he should have told somebody, hey, and I think he called his wife. He had cell phone reception up there. Awesome. Hey, I'm coming down. I should be back by this time. Tell the Bighorn County Sheriff that if I'm not back by this time, that something bad has happened. That's one thing that I would have done. Do I do that for all of them? No, I don't. Why? Because they're not that big of hikes. If I was going to go do Cloud Peak, like a multi-day, you're camping, you're going up above the snow line, yeah, then I would have said something. I would have either told somebody that lived nearby, hey, I'm going up. If I'm not back by this time, send somebody after me. Second thing I would have done is this. This is a Garmin watch. You can get a Garmin GPS. Anything that connects to the satellite. This has solar power. I have a map. The main thing is the GPS and say, hey, if I'm not back by this time, something went wrong, and you should be able to locate me on my GPS. That's the other thing I would have done. Now, I'm even being a hypocrite because I just got this last year, not even a year ago. I do have a GPS, but I use that for fossil finds and kind of things. I mark my maps on that. So again, I'm being a hypocrite. This is a relatively new edition. So I would have that. But if you're going to go, me and my buddies won't want to do a hike from, it's not Tripoli. What is it? It's the town that's east of Bryce Canyon. We want to hike down the entire Grand Escalante to the Vermilion Cliffs, Kanab. Highway 89, I believe it is. We want to just hike all the way across. You damn right we got our GPS on. You darn right I'm going to do that. But if I'm just gonna, I don't know, putz around in the Badlands of the Black Hills, it's populated enough. I wouldn't really have to worry about it. So that's another thing I would have done. And then the third thing is if you're going to go up there, fluorescent yellow, fluorescent pink, fluorescent green, you're not Rambo. You're not trying to hide from the local corrupt sheriff. You should wear something loud that in case something does bad happen to you, you hit your head on a rock and you're passed out, at least the helicopters would see, oh, look at the fluorescent yellow that's standing out above there. And that'd be about it. So, yeah, I don't really think it was him. I think it was just a stroke of bad luck. Our condolences to the family. And that's about it. All right, no super chats. There you guys go. We'll see you guys later. Link below is my Amazon affiliate link. Amazon, no, assholeconsulting.com/Amazon. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.